those aren't the kind of pigtails I want, though. I kind of want some Sailor Moon ones, but I don't see any Sailor Moon ones. How about you? No. So what's probably not apparent in terms of my playing with the character creation and making these types is I'm also trying to learn how to use the controllers at the same time. Which brings me to a topic that we haven't talked about, which is the importance of multitasking. So multitasking has a really bad name in the therapy world, and in particular when we're talking about kids with ADD, when we're using the terms executive functioning, which, about 10, 15 years ago, everyone started using these terms. And there's been a lot of negative press about multitasking in terms of learning. And so there's good news and there's bad news. So the bad news is that yes, if you're doing two things at once and you don't, well, that one looks kind of good, and you don't know how to do one or both of them, it will compromise your ability to do. If you're learning task A, and you already know how to do task B, it will make it a little harder for you to learn task A, and it will make you have a bit of a harder time doing task B. But here's what we don't necessarily talk about as much with multitasking, which is if you know how to do tasks A and B. And the fact is that if you can do both A and B already, multitasking doesn't necessarily affect it that much. And why that's important is because a lot of times what people are doing when they're multitasking, they're able to do, and it doesn't cause problems. So, for example, right now, I'm talking to you about multitasking, and I am doing character creation, and I kind of know how to do both of those things. So I'm probably not as articulate as if I was just teaching a class, and I probably am taking longer to develop this character than I or you want me to. But here's the thing, I'm doing a good enough job with both of them. Now, where I'm having a hard time is the third task, which is I've got a controller, and I'm trying to learn how to use the controller at the same time as doing character creation and telling you about multitasking. So that's where things are getting a little bit more difficult, because this is a difficult interface for me to learn. Because it's not as fluid and streamlined as I might like. So what's funny here is if you've watched any of my streams before, or if you've watched any of my videos before, you'll notice what I'm doing the most at the most regular speed or quick speed for me is talking to you about multitasking. And then the second thing I'm doing is like looking at the character creation and the styles. But the third one, it's taking me longer to program things. And you're seeing I'm looking at some of the same styles over and over again. So yes, multitasking does cause some degradation of all of the tasks if one or two of them are ones you're still learning. And why that's important is because we don't factor this in, and educators and students need to factor this in, which is learning things is actually another task. So to come back to my example, I'm actually doing 4 things. I'm talking to you, and I already know how to do that. Talk to you about multitasking in education and psychology. Know how to do that. I am doing character creation, and I've done this three times, so I kind of know how to do that. I'm using the controller to kind of toggle through things, And that I'm having a hard time with. And then the last one is learning how to do that last thing. So it's the learning how to toggle and learning how to interface with the video game that I'm having the hardest time. So now think about your life while I'm doing this, and I want you to ask yourself, are there particular things in my life that I don't necessarily do well because I haven't learned how to do them yet? So, for example, if you're in school, what are the things that you don't do well? Is it sitting down in class and paying attention? Is it getting to class on time? Is it socializing with people when it's lunchtime, or if you're in college, dinner time or after school? So think about which area of those things you need to learn and spend the most of your kind of bandwidth on, and see if you can maybe break down the multitasking you're doing and then triage it and say, okay, well, what's the one I need to focus the most on? And so there we go. I'm going to stick with this one. And so for me, I'm going to give up on her hair, and I'm going to just move on to the next thing. Let's see. And let's give this person green hair, because none of my characters have had green hair yet. Yes. Yes. Oh, that's perfect. Oh, it's even more perfect. Nope, that's perfect. All right. So notice that I started focusing more on character creation, and here's the other thing that's interesting while we're talking about multitasking is learning how to use a controller. And I know there's a whole bunch of you that are like not necessarily even wanting to go near the controller thing. I know I should be using the mouse, and I'm bringing this on myself, but let's put that aside for a minute. Learning how to use the controller, if I was just using it and it wasn't embedded in something meaningful, it would be a lot harder for me to learn it, because I wouldn't be really motivated to learn how to use the controller. But I want to make her hair green. So I am now whipping through the controller because I want to make her hair green. I'm motivated. And I want to make it green and maybe have a little bluish tint to it. Yeah. No, I think I want to definitely do a light blue. Yeah, and then let's see about this one. So again, apply this to your life. What are some things that really motivate you to learn how to do the things that you probably don't want to really learn how to do? Because life's full of things that we don't necessarily want to learn how to do, but we kind of have to, or we're not going to be happy. So for you, it might be socializing. For me, what is it I want to learn how to do better? I think one of the things I want to learn how to do better is to stream and get started on the stream just hopping into it, not having all of these prep things that there's always something that goes wrong. That kind of bugs me. So I definitely want to learn how to do that better. And one of the things you will probably notice over the next few days and weeks is that I'm actually streaming more, because that's the way you get better at something, is you do the task more. So yes, multitasking can make it harder, but doing the task more, there's a cumulative benefit to that too. Alright, I think I'm going to stick with that. And then I think we need to give her hair shine. Because shiny hair is good, right? Isn't shiny hair good? Alright. Alright. Somehow I want this a little bit darker with maybe just a little too... Ooh! Yeah? No. No.